Now, I want to read it from a different book. Let's read from the writing of Luke. So we're going to go to Luke 23. In verse 26, he writes about the crucifixion. And he goes on to describe the two criminals that were there with him. One was on his left side and one was on his right side. And they were taken to the place called the Skull. There they crucified him, and the criminals went on his right and went on his left. And Jesus said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And they cast lots. So we go down to verse 44. It was now about the 6th hour, and there was darkness over the whole land until the 9th hour, while the sun's light failed, and the curtain of the temple was torn in two. Then Jesus, calling out with a loud voice, said, Father, into your hands I commit my spirit. And having said this, he breathed his last. Now when the centurion saw what had taken place, he praised God, saying, Certainly this man was innocent. And all the crowds that had assembled for the spectacle, when they saw what had taken place, returned home beating their breast. And I wanted to read from Luke because Luke was the physician, so he'll be more detailed in his writing and in his observation versus John. So as we continue to read Luke, we go down to verse 52. It also states that it was a day of preparation, and the Sabbath was beginning. So we can tell that the time has already passed. And remember, Passover, it's 8 days, and Sabbath is on Friday evening, all the way till Saturday sunset. We're still in Luke 23. Now we're going to verse 50 to 55. And now a man named Joseph, he was from a Jewish town called Arimathea. He was a member of the council, good and righteous men. He took down the body, wrapped it in a linen shroud, and laid him in a tomb cut in stone where no one had been laid. It was a day of preparation, and the Sabbath was beginning. The woman who had come with him from Galilee followed and saw the tomb and how his body was laid. They then returned and prepared spices and ointments. On the Sabbath they rested, according to the commandments. Remember the Sabbath? It's Friday evening. So Friday evening, and they don't do anything till Saturday evening. So that right there is like 2 days, right? So now we're moving on to the resurrection. This is why we call it Resurrection Sunday. We do not call it Easter, because Jesus rose from the dead. He is not dead. He's alive. He took the keys of death, and he reigns, and he's over it. So we're on 24, same chapter of Luke. But on the first day of the week, which to us is Sunday morning, right? At early dawn, they went to the tomb, taking the spices they had prepared, and they found the stone rolled away from the tomb. But when they went in, they did not find the body of Jesus. While they were confused, perplexed about this, behold, 2 men stood by them in dazzling apparel. And as they were frightened and bowed their faces to the ground, the man said to them, Why do you seek the living among the dead? He is not here, but has risen. And right there is why we call it Resurrection Sunday. It's not Easter. Easter is a man-made holiday. And even in church, you may say sometimes it's Easter. But we need to call it what it is. Resurrection Sunday. Christ was raised from the dead. It says it here. Let me say that one more time. Why do you seek the living among the dead? He is not here, but has risen. That, my friend, is Resurrection Sunday. So the next video, we're going to do some comparison Old Testament and New Testament. And because there's some things I want to point out to you and share with you, and then we'll follow up with could there possibly be a hidden message?